Nation. Happy to be back. Happy to be back. Let's get to it.
Got it. 1 second left.
This is one of those things I kind of manifested for a long time, sort of tried to speak it into existence. There's been a lot of history here, and hopefully we can create more.
Breaking news that shocked the basketball world. In the middle of the night, Chris Paul posted on his social media saying, quote, "I just found out I'm being sent home." The 12-time All-Star, a future first ballot Hall of Famer, he spent 6 years with the franchise before coming back for this, his final season. So for more on this stunning decision, our senior insider Shams Charania is back with us. Shams, how exactly did the Clippers get to this point?
Like, sources told me that Chris Paul and his leadership style just simply clashed with the Clippers from a management level, coaching staff level with Ty Lue, players level even. And the tipping point really came with how Chris Paul has been throughout his career. Vocal with players, with coaches, with the front office. And I'm told he increasingly became vocal about how he felt the coaching staff potentially could make decisions early in the season as this team started to struggle. And clearly Ty Lue and Chris Paul ended up having issues, because I'm told Ty Lue simply was not on speaking terms with Chris Paul for the last several weeks. And one source told me that it felt like Ty Lue felt like Chris Paul might have been stepping on toes. Whatever the case may be, Chris Paul is now out and they've sent him home. And he obviously felt like he could still play for this team and be a contributor, but the Clippers wanted to move on, and they did so overnight.
And this, I think, Shams, is so stunning because we're talking about an NBA legend here being, as you said, sent home, not waived, but sent home. He ranks 16th in games played. He's second in assists, second in steals in NBA history. He's a 5-time assist champ, a 6-time steals champ, and the only guard to make more all-defensive teams in CP3 is Kobe Bryant. So the president of basketball operations for the Clippers, Lawrence Frank, he was asked earlier this morning about the situation. Take a listen.
These are very, very, very hard decisions. And ultimately, it's my job to do what's best for the organization, do what's best for the team, even if it's not popular. I mean, look, right now we're playing bad basketball. We're on both ends. We're a bad basketball team, and we're capable of being a whole lot better than 5-16. Chris, has, a very good leadership style. He's led a lot of teams, and he's led a lot of teams as being, one of the best players, if not the best player on the team. Like I said, the role, some moves you make, roster moves you make, just like you have great intentions, and some work and some don't. And I own that. And this one just didn't work at this time.
So now welcoming in our senior writer, Brian Windhurst. Brian, what did you make? This, I think the situation is incredibly odd. What did you make of how this played out?
It is odd.
Yeah.
Basically, when I talked to people today, Chris Paul was being Chris Paul, which is that he has something to say to teammates, to coaches, to the front office. He views it as keeping it accountable. Whether it's always received that way, it depends. The difference is that for 19 years, Chris Paul has always been a star or the starter playing big minutes. When you are the 9th, 10th, 11th man, sometimes not even playing 12 for 13 minutes a game. When you do, it hits differently, it feels differently, and this is a role that Chris has never been in before, and it wasn't working. And frankly, if you have a situation where you might need to make a change and you can, take a player away who plays a very small role, even if that player is a very high-profile player, it's easier to do when it's a bit role. I don't think the Clippers handled this well at all. I don't think that there was good, expectations set from the beginning. I think doing this in the middle of a road trip, very late at night, was also a mistake. But ultimately, I think the Clippers are trying to do something to keep the team together. And Lawrence Frank obviously viewed this in response to what I think was several people wanting this on the roster and on the coaching staff.
Yeah, I'm with you, Wendy. I'm a bit confused, more than a bit. I just don't understand. You couldn't have a conversation. Everybody knows who Chris Paul is. He's one of the most decorated, one of the best point guards in the history of our game. and you send him home like he's a child is kind of crazy to me. You knew who he was. You knew how he acted. You know what he brings to the table. So for you to like I said, treat him this way is very bad on the Clippers organization. I hope for Chris's sake it's not worse, but I hope for the Clippers organization that there's something more than just him being a distraction in the locker room where you can't have a conversation. Because this is not enough. This is not enough to send a 20-year vet, when most places, one of the best point guards in the history of our game, home, and when you guys are playing such bad basketball in the beginning of the season.
And you know who you signed.
And this is retiring. This is retirement year. He's announced that he's retiring. This is how you treat one of the, in our fraternity, in the NBA, it's a bad look for the Clippers organization right now.
I'm not Chris Paul, but I woke up at 5 a.m. feeling disrespected. You know what I mean? And that's because I grew up and admired and got to know and understand Chris Paul. And if anybody else knows that, it's the Clippers. And to handle this situation, this is not how you want to make news. We all know, and even if he was probably pushing for more of a bigger role, hypothetically, he's 40 years old. Like, the realities are coming, but this is not how you handle it. In communication, I was confused also because we heard two different things. Oh, he has a good leadership style, but it's not the leadership style that we need right now.
Right.
But if anybody knows his leadership style, it's the Clippers. So I really feel for him. And like we said, we started off this year with a beautiful press conference where you were, Malika, talking about how important the season was.
Yeah.
This was dropping the ball and handling this.
And I think you two are not the only, we are not the only ones that are confused here. I want to bring in our front office insider, Bobby Marks, back into this conversation because, Bobby, I think that I've seen a lot of places folks say that Chris Paul is being waived or he's not on the roster. None of that is the case. He was just sent home. So the next question is, what happens now?
Yeah, we're going to be in a holding pattern a little bit here, Malika, and here's why. Chris Paul signed a contract this offseason. He can't be traded until December 15th, so we're still 12 days from that. He can't be waived because if the Clippers waive him, they can't sign a 14th player because they are not enough below the first apron here. So you have to have 14 players on your roster. He can certainly entertain a buyout, but if you're going to do the buyout route, who out there has a roster spot? Malika, there's 10 teams that have an open roster spot. And guess what? 9 of them are either in a luxury tax or impacted by this first or second apron, including the Los Angeles Lakers, the Houston Rockets, and the New York Knicks here. So I would expect this thing to drag on a little bit here. And I don't see, although they sent him home, as you said, it doesn't mean that he's been waived. And we're going to be in a, as I said, a holding pattern a little bit here before this gets resolved.
And for Chris's sake, that I hope it gets resolved the way that he is the best way for him and the best way for his family here. But